Hey, what's up guys? In this video we're going to talk about recursion, and I really like recursion. It's one of my favorite concepts in programming, and it's especially awesome in functional programming because it allows you to do a lot of things without mutating stuff. And in functional programming, immutability is like one of those pillar concepts. So anyway, recursion, everybody knows, is just the idea that a function calls itself, right? In Elixir, there's these cool functions like each, or even something like map, which are built with recursion. And instead of a for loop, what these functions do is they, for the lack of a better word, loop over an enumerable or a list and apply a function to it. So these in Elixir are already built in to the standard library, something like each. And what it does is it invokes the function for each item in the enumerable. But what we're going to do is we're going to look at recursion and we're going to try to build the each function by, from scratch. So let's do that. So what we're going to do here is let's just create a new file here. So we'll say vim rec.exs. Okay, simple enough. And let's create a module. Say def module. We'll just call it rec. Keep it simple. And what we're going to try to do is create the each function that Elixir already has, but we're going to try to make our own, right? So I'm sure there's other ways to do this, but basically I'm just going to try to figure out a simple way to do this. So what a couple things I'm going to do, I'm going to add some comment here is if a list has nothing. So first of all, let's look at this example again just for the sake of clarity. Let me see. I'll go back to Elixir and give you a, we'll look at this again to see what it does. So basically each takes a list and it takes an anonymous function or a function that you give it. It can be an anonymous function, and it applies to each item that anonymous function. So in this case, you say each, and here they're passing in a list of strings, and for each one, they're just printing out the string. So let's create something like that. Our list is going to be like some numbers, some integers, and we'll just add like, I don't know, 10 to it. So let's keep it simple. So we'll say we got to create a couple functions here. So the first thing we got to do is if the list is empty, return, I don't know, let's just return done. Okay, so it's done. Doesn't do anything. So we'll say our first function is going to say def each and an empty list. And I called it each just because I want it to be the same as, like the real function, but you can call it whatever you want. And the anonymous function is not going to really do anything. We don't care about it because it's an empty list, so, nothing's going to happen, right? So what we'll just return here is we'll say done, and it's an atom. Okay, so if it's an empty list, basically do nothing to it, and that was kind of useless. But you really do need an initial case like that for when it's finally done, because this is going to call itself a couple times. You'll see, and when it's run through the entire list and there's nothing left, you want it to essentially finish. So we'll say we're going to need another case here. We'll say def each, and this is where it gets a little weird. We're going to use cool Elixir concept. Well, I think it's a concept in a lot of other languages too, but we're going to use pattern matching to match the head of a list, and you use the little pipe operator here to differentiate between the head and the tail of the list. And we're also going to add a function as our second argument. Whoops. Okay, now what are we going to do here? We're going to take whatever the first item in that list is and separate it from the tail. And what we're going to do is we're going to call the function that's passed in, this right here, with the head as the argument. Okay? And that's it. And then what we can do is call it again with whatever is left of the list, which is the tail. So this each function is going to be calling itself. So we're going to say each tail, and we're going to call the function on the tail. And this is going to run this, if that makes sense. So this tail essentially becomes this list up here, and it gets split into head and tail, and then the head gets passed onto here, and that happens again and again and again. And that's basically it. Okay, it's very, very simple. So what we'll do now is, I don't know, let's create a list. We'll just call it list 1, 2, 3. And what we can do is call it. So we'll say rec, which is the name of our module, dot each, which is the name of our function, and we'll say list which is our enumerable right here. Pass that in as our first argument. And the second argument is the function that we want to use. So we're just going to use an anonymous function. We'll say fn and y. Let's make this a little more explicit. We'll say the number, just so you understand that we're enumerating over the current number in the list. So it'll be 1 and the whole function will run, and then 2 and the whole function will run on 2, and then 3. So we'll just print out, I don't know, let's just print out num plus 12, or I don't know, 10. Let's round it up. Num plus 10, and let's see if that works. So we'll say elixir rec.exs. And I've got a error, missing terminator, end. Okay, so simple screw up right there. Let's try that again. And there you go. You can see that it ran. You know what? Let's make this more explicit. Let's actually first we'll say puts list, and let's print that out. So, whoops. Oh crap. What did I do? I X'd out. Screwed that up. This has to be IO puts. Okay, so I screwed up a couple times there, trying to make it more explicit or demonstrative. So basically, we're just gonna inspect the list, look at the list, and so you can see what it actually is. And we'll run this. So now you can see we got 1, 2, 3, and we are going to run each on every single member of the list. That's why we put the list as the first argument, and then the anonymous function runs IO puts on each element. So you can see first we have 1, and our anonymous function adds 10 to each item. Then we got 2, and then we got 3, so we get 10 or 11, 12, 13. And you can do this for anything, right? You can make this like, I don't know, you can make this like a list of strings, or or even a map, or do whatever you want. So that's it. This is like a super basic example of recursion. And again, Elixir has like its own each function, so you didn't really have to create this like we did. Like we can go IEX, will that work? IEX, and then we can do something like list equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and let's use enum each, and we'll pass in list, and then we'll do the same thing. We'll just do fn num and IO puts plus 10, and there you go. It does the same thing, and then returns, well, it returns the atom okay instead of done, so that was a mistake by my part. I should have made this okay. But anyway, you see Elixir already has this built in, but just for the sake of making it more demonstrative, we created our own each function that uses recursion to basically call itself until it has nothing left in the enumerable. So that's it. I hope it helped a little bit, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.